Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
We all know the story of MH370, the sudden silence, the mysterious turn, and the largest search in aviation history. Investigators told us the plane flew for hours on autopilot before plunging into the sea. But that official story is falling apart. A passenger's final message, long dismissed as a hoax, has now been re-examined and decoded, and what it reveals is chilling. It's a digital breadcrumb left behind in the dark, leading to a place that was never supposed to be on the map. The chilling voice from the void. For years, the story of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 has been defined by silence. A ghost flight that communicated nothing as it flew to its doom. But what if there was one message that broke through the void? A message that wasn't heard but seen. A message that has finally been decoded, revealing a truth so terrifying it makes a simple crash in the ocean seem like a blessing. Shortly after the plane vanished, a bizarre post appeared online. It was a single, completely black image, posted with the caption, "I have been held hostage by unknown military personnel after my flight was hijacked. I work for IBM and I have managed to hide my cell phone in my ass during the hijack. I have been separated from the other passengers and I am in a cell." The message claimed to be from an American passenger, Philip Wood, an IBM executive on board the flight. At the time, in the chaos and confusion, authorities and the media dismissed it as a cruel and twisted hoax, a prank played on grieving families. But here's the kicker. The black image wasn't just a black image. Like most digital photos, it contained hidden data, known as EXIF data. And when computer-savvy sleuths dug into that data, they found something that made their blood run cold. Embedded within the code were geographic coordinates. These weren't random numbers. The coordinates pointed to a very real, very secret location, Diego Garcia. If you've never heard of Diego Garcia, you're not supposed to. It's a tiny, isolated atoll in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it happens to be one of the most secretive and strategic U.S. military bases on the planet. It's a black site, a place where planes land but don't officially exist. A place that has long been linked to CIA rendition flights and clandestine operations. The coordinates from the passenger's final message pointed directly to an area just a few miles from the base's airfield. Suddenly, the impossible story didn't seem so impossible anymore. Could a passenger have really sent a secret message from a military black site? Think about it. The official narrative says the plane flew south, but the decoded message points west, directly to Diego Garcia. The timing fits. The base is located well within the 7-hour flight range calculated from the satellite handshakes. The plane's deliberate radar-evading maneuvers and communication blackout are no longer signs of a mechanical failure or a rogue pilot's breakdown. Instead, they look like the calculated actions of someone trying to deliver the plane to a specific hidden destination, flying under the radar to avoid detection by commercial air traffic control in neighboring countries. The theory suggests MH370 was electronically hijacked and remotely flown or escorted to the base. Why? The plane was carrying 20 employees from Freescale Semiconductor, a company specializing in high-tech electronic warfare and cloaking technology. On top of that, its cargo manifest listed over 200 kilograms of lithium-ion batteries and a mysterious multi-ton shipment of mangosteens. Some researchers believe this was a cover for something far more valuable or dangerous, sensitive military tech or even another country's state secrets being smuggled out of Asia. The Philip Wood photo, if real, is the single most terrifying piece of evidence in the entire mystery. It suggests that the 239 people aboard MH370 didn't die in a crash. It suggests they were taken, their plane stolen, and the entire world was sold a lie. The massive multi-million-dollar search in the southern Indian Ocean? A wild goose chase designed to look for wreckage in the wrong ocean in the wrong hemisphere, while the real evidence was locked away on a military base. But if this terrifying message is true, what happened to the plane itself? No man's land. To understand how a massive Boeing 777 could be delivered to a secret base, you have to go back to the moment it disappeared. On March 8, 2014, MH370 took off on a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Aboard were 227 passengers and 12 crew members. At 1:19 a.m., the plane's captain, Zahari Ahmad Shah, gave his final, now infamous sign-off to Malaysian Air Traffic Control. Good night, Malaysian 370. Just 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the aircraft's transponder, the device that communicates its identity and altitude to civilian radar, went dark. This wasn't an accident. Disabling a transponder requires someone in the cockpit to deliberately turn a knob. It was the first step in making the plane invisible. The timing was perfect. It happened at the exact moment the plane was in an aviation no man's land, passing from Malaysian to Vietnamese airspace. Turning this system off is even more complex, requiring someone to access an avionics bay. The complete communication blackout was deliberate and methodical. Yet something was left on. The Plane Satellite Data Unit, or SDU, mysteriously rebooted and began sending hourly pings or handshakes to an Inmarsat satellite orbiting high above the Earth. These 7 handshakes contained no GPS data, but they allowed analysts to draw 2 massive arcs of possible locations, one stretching north over Asia and one south into the Indian Ocean. The official investigation, pushed by Inmarsat's analysis, concluded the plane must have flown the southern route, running out of fuel and crashing into the sea. But the Diego Garcia theory presents a chilling alternative. What if the southern arc was a calculated misdirection? The satellite pings only give a distance, not a direction. The base lies squarely within the range of those pings. The flight path, with its careful turns to avoid the radar of Thailand and Indonesia, looks less like a random flight to oblivion and more like a carefully planned route to a military rendezvous point. The person flying the plane knew exactly how to stay in the shadows. This level of expertise points directly to a highly experienced pilot or something else entirely, remote hijacking technology that could take control of the plane from the ground. This theory, which was once dismissed, has gained traction because no other explanation fits all the facts. There was no distress call, no wreckage was found in the primary search area, and the debris that did wash ashore years later on the coasts of Africa could, according to some oceanographers, have drifted there from a crash site much further west, closer to Diego Garcia. The ghost in the machine wasn't a malfunction. It was an operator, pulling the strings in the dark, but the pilot and the passenger who sent the message weren't the only ones leaving clues. Another, much more sinister secret was hiding in plain sight on the cargo manifest. The cargo of secrets. Every investigation into MH370 eventually hits a wall when it comes to the cargo. On the surface, the manifest seemed normal, but dig a little deeper and you find details that are, to say the least, strange. The plane was carrying over 4,500 pounds of mangosteens. It's a plausible theory, but it doesn't explain the deliberate turn, the communication shutdown, or the 7 hours of controlled flight. Instead, some believe the batteries were a cover for something else. Then you have the 20 passengers from Freescale Semiconductor. This Austin, Texas-based tech company was a leader in developing microchips for military radar and electronic warfare, the very kind of technology that could be used for cloaking a plane or even hijacking it remotely. 4 days after the flight vanished, Freescale was granted a patent for a new semiconductor system, with the patent's ownership split between 5 employees. 4 of those 5 employees were on MH370. With them gone, 100% of the patent's ownership fell to the company itself. It's a detail that has fueled endless speculation. Were these employees kidnapped for their knowledge? Was the plane hijacked to steal the groundbreaking technology they were carrying? When you combine the strange cargo, the tech experts on board, and the decoded passenger message pointing to a military base, a terrifying picture begins to form. This wasn't a flight that went wrong. It was a target. The motive wasn't terror in the traditional sense, but a high-stakes game of corporate and military espionage. The plane was a treasure chest, and someone wanted what was inside. This theory explains the professionalism of the disappearance. It was an intelligence operation executed with military precision. It also explains the deafening silence from world governments and the baffling lack of progress in the investigation. If a major world power was involved, admitting it would trigger a geopolitical crisis of unimaginable proportions. But while investigators looked at what was on the plane, a new technology was looking at the very air it flew through, revealing a flight path that nobody expected. The Phantom Path and debunking the myths. For years, the 7 satellite pings were the only data points investigators had for the plane's final hours. But a British aerospace engineer named Richard Godfrey introduced a radical new technology to the search. WSPR, or Weak Signal Propagation Reporter. It's a global network of low-power radio signals used by amateur radio operators to test their reach. These signals create an invisible tripwire mesh around the globe. When a large object like an airplane flies through one of these signals, it disturbs it. Godfrey painstakingly analyzed a decade's worth of archived WSPR data from the night MH370 disappeared. Believe it or not, his findings were stunning. He claims to have tracked the plane's path by following the disturbances it left in the WSPR network. His reconstructed flight path matches the military radar pings and the Inmarsat satellite data, but it also adds a shocking new detail. Godfrey's data suggests that just before its final turn south, the aircraft entered a strange 22-minute holding pattern over the ocean off the coast of Sumatra. A holding pattern is a standard aviation maneuver, but there was no reason for MH370 to be doing it. It suggests the pilot wasn't flying aimlessly, but was waiting, perhaps for instructions, or for daylight, or for a rendezvous. This bizarre maneuver strengthens the theory that the flight was under intelligent control until the very end. However, it's crucial to separate fact from compelling speculation. While Godfrey's WSPR theory has excited many in the search community and prompted Ocean Infinity to propose a new search based on his findings, it is not universally accepted. Aviation authorities have noted that WSPR was never designed to track aircraft, and its data can be influenced by other atmospheric conditions. Likewise, the Philip Wood decoded message pointing to Diego Garcia, as terrifying as it sounds, is widely considered by mainstream investigators and journalists to be a sophisticated and cruel hoax. There is no verifiable proof that the message originated from Philip Wood or that the EXIF data wasn't faked. These theories, from a secret cargo to a phantom flight path, are born from a desperate need for answers in a vacuum of hard evidence. They persist because the official story of a ghost flight into the abyss just doesn't add up for many people. The lack of wreckage, the deliberate maneuvers, the communication blackout, these are not hallmarks of a simple accident. They are signs of intent. And until the black boxes are found, the door remains open for these chilling possibilities. The renewed search effort, armed with Godfrey's data and new underwater technology, may finally be the key to unlocking the truth, whatever it may be. The search for MH370 continues, fueled by new theories and technology. But the central question remains: do you believe the official story, or was this a sophisticated plot covered up by world powers? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more answers to the world's greatest mysteries.